You have 5 new messages. Message 1. Message deleted.
Whatever special mojo voodoo shit that went into this little dongle.
Message deleted. Message 4. Hi again, I'm so sorry for message deleted. Message 5. Me again, and I'm so sorry.
I'll share something with you. When I was talking to the CEO of iBasso, and I was asking him some questions, especially about this, and he kind of revealed that this little dongle, with all the research and development and the time and the tech that went into this little dongle, it should have been about $400. That they kind of wanted to dominate the little market in a dongle, and damn, this little thing sounds great. At $200, they really wanted to come to the market and be a disruptor.
You have 5 new messages. Message 1. Message deleted. Message 2. Hi Michael. Message deleted. Message 3. Oh my god, I'm so sorry for message deleted. Message.
Hello, Tone Deaf Monk. Welcome back. Today I'm bringing you another dongle, and this time it is iBasso's latest, the DC07 PRO. Kind of a bit of a surprise when it showed up, and talking to the CEO, he's pretty proud of this one. I want to share some stuff as well. First of all, I don't want to sound like a shill, but I'm going to say something that kind of blew me away too. I just did my iBasso DX180 review. Love this DAP and how clean it is and how neutral and sparkly top end. I really like that DAP. It's my go-to as uncolored reference. Okay, here it goes. I think this little dongle sounds better than that DAP. I'll tell you why. I had to really wrap my head around that. From my brain was saying one thing, but my heart was saying another. It was really a weird thing to get over the fact that this little thing might sound better than this big thing. But if you think about it, this has quad Cirrus Logic 43131s. This has quad 43131s. This has their FPGA Master 2. this also has iBasso's in-house controller. And whatever special voodoo shit that they did inside of this little dongle is bloody impressive. Take away the battery, take away the screen, take away all the other things it doesn't need, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and shrink it down, and you get something that is incredibly light and tiny. It is a real pleasure to use. It also has this clicky volume wheel that I really love. And that is my only criticism about this little dongle. And I'll get to that. Let's talk about some observations from me using this, okay? I'll talk about a little specifications just for shits and giggles, okay? First of all, I'm going to tell you, inside of the box, this was a pleasant surprise. So not only do you get a USB-A to USB-C adapter, you get USB-C to USB-C and a USB-C to Lightning. So they actually made this dongle to perform with Apple or the older Apple devices. Anyway, I thought that was pretty standout and included in the box. This isn't a cheap dongle. This is just going to be under $200. So it should rightly come with all the bling blings, and it does. Now, once I've wrapped my little head around the fact that this thing was so incredibly small and light, it was the listening that pulled me in on this little guy. Now, firstly, I want to talk about why I told you that I think it sounds better than the DX180. I'm a DAP person, but this little dongle would make me a dongle person. It has sweeter, fuller, lower mids over the DX180. More natural male vocal tonality. Playing James Blunt. Where Is My Mind live. The bass sounds fuller. Vocals are more natural on this little dongle. Doing the AB, right? Let's trip out. Crystal Method. I'm going to talk about one of the features that I think makes this little dongle super unique. Never seen it in another dongle on the market. It has a 10 hertz SUBSONIC high-pass filter. Now, I'm going to show you that. I can show you that. Let's take a look. I'll show you some of those features as we flip over into the camera, and I'll show you as well on the screen what this little dongle can do. Okay, some of the things that I want to show you here. First of all, my screen is upside down. Okay, first thing I want to show you is the top of the screen is a horrible fingerprint magnet. It really is. The small little OLED screen is stunning, very easy to see, and it's full featured, so you can do everything on the little screen. One thing I'll say about this little volume wheel is, though it does feel quite solid, it is a bit wobbly. I don't think that's going to be an issue, but just thought I'd mention it. I would be remiss to not mention it. Or when you plug it in, you will see that you're greeted with your volume level, your filter level, and it tells you that it is on. So let's actually go into the menu system. First one is the filter setting. So here's one of these little dongles or DAPs that actually, for me, make a audible difference in the filter settings. The slow filters for me do kind of tame the highs, and the fast filters do kind of enhance the top end. So that's what they actually do to me. If you just hit this, everything's done with this little scroll wheel. Here is that high pass filter on and off. Filter. What it does, this high pass filter, is it stops your gear from trying to play non-music. There's nothing really at 10 hertz, 20 hertz, honestly not too much at 30 hertz either. And that's really, really low sub-frequencies, and it's very hard for drivers to produce those frequencies. So this subsonic filter, high-pass filter, basically lets the player not, this little dongle, not try to expend power to reproduce anything in the super low sub-frequencies. And in turn, what it does for your ears is it tightens up the bass, cleans up the lower mids, and produces a more natural timbre. And it really is noticeable. I noticed it quite a lot. I think this 10 hertz subsonic filter is a game changer for some gear. In combination with that subsonic high pass filter, it levels up your gear to get you pitch perfect instrumental and vocals by altering the lower harmonics with various gear. And it did work for me in a wonderful way. I love my tight, punchy bass. You take away that useless subsonic stuff that is not in music, and all of a sudden your dongle or your DAP or your amp has more headroom. It has more ability to drive things without trying to reproduce those really crazy low frequencies. Now, all of this can be done on the companion app, and it is really easy to look at as well. So now, if you have a Android device, you are going to go goo goo gaga, because not only is it full-featured companion app, but it has some really cool widgets as well that really makes it fun to use, easy to use, and handy to use. I'm going to move this over here, so on the left side of the screen, I will have the companion app. So here we go. So there's your filters, and I scroll down. High pass filter, gain, medium, high, and low. Let's go back to, I typically leave stuff on either low or, there we go. Your balance control, which is again really nice. SPDF, your spin rotation of your screen, on off. Volume adjustment, always. Or on source control. Backlight, you can turn this always on or as a time. Let's just plug this thing in to a DAP, and I want to show you that. Unlike the ONIX, anything you plug this thing into will actually work. If you've installed the companion app software called the UAC, it automatically connects to it, and you have now your volume controls there. Up, down, balance control, digital filters, high pass filter, gain, low, medium, high. Everything is done on the companion app. All of your features right there. If I were on screensaver mode, or if you pull down, check out this. So there is your pull down menu. On a Android device, you also have a little widget to do your volume control right there. Super cool. Really love that feature as well. So that's the UAC app. Definitely, if you have an Android device, definitely worth getting. Love this little companion app that goes with this little dongle. It just makes the usability so much nicer. Let's talk about a little bit more about the stage versus the iBasso DX180, because I'm really putting a lot of attention on this because it wowed me that much over this DAP. And as I said, I really, really like this DAP. So what did kind of blow me away, though, was the stage. I actually hear a wider stage. I hear higher stage over the DX180. And just overall tonality wise, the DX180 plays leaner in the mids. But what really got me though was the openness of the stage, the spaciousness that the DC07 PRO does over the DAP. If I were to describe the overall sound signature of this little dongle, I would say it is super clean and musical at the same time. In comparison, and we'll do that in a bit, some of the other things that I loved about this dongle, the companion app, it's fully featured. I got to talk about that volume wheel. I love volume wheels, and it's super clicky, feels great. The 0 to 100 volume steps, also love that feature. Not just because it's 0 to 100, but because it's very linear, right? It ramps up and down very nicely. It wasn't like you turn it up a little bit and it goes super blazing loud, or you just touch it a little bit and it goes super quiet. It was super finessey. I love the fact that it's incredibly tiny and light. I love the fact that it has actually 3 gain controls, low, medium, and high. And I love the fact that it's got a crap ton of power. Hard to believe out of this teeny little dongle, but I'm going to give you some specs here. The 3.5 single-ended spec. Here, you ready for this? Total harmonic distortion and noise together is less than 116 decibels with a 0.00017% total distortion at 1 kilohertz with a 300 ohm load. The output voltage on low, medium, and high, 1.4, 1.73, and 2 volts respectively, which would then give you 210 milliwatts at 16 ohms or 118 milliwatts at 32 ohms in single-ended. That's fantastic. That's my target for dongles that I tell people is look for stuff that has at least 100 milliwatts of power, and this exceeds it. If we were to go to the 4.4 output now, again, the distortion and noise specs, THD and noise, less than 120 dB with a distortion rating of 0.000098%. So none. Output voltage now 2.8, 3.5, and 4 volts into high gain mode. That equates to 510 milliwatts per channel at 16 ohms and 430 milliwatts at 32 ohms. Has a ton of juice, this little guy. So all the specs are really off the chart. In comparison, the EPZ TP50. I really like this little dongle too. It was my number 1 until the ONIX came across, and now it's my number 3. The EPZ TP50 only has 2 gain levels. No companion app, $109. It's bigger, way heavier. Fit and finish is not competing with the iBasso. The TP50 has a display brightness control, which is a plus. It also can change tracks and volume with the onboard controls, whereas the DC07 PRO can only do volume controls. In sound-wise, the stuff that matters, the DC07 PRO is so much cleaner. Mids come through, between the two, in an A-B comparison, it sounds like there's a veil in front of the TP50. You don't realize how better something else is until you're doing an A-B comparison, because without the comparison, the TP50 sounds excellent, and I still think it's excellent value. Where the biggest difference between these two dongles really came into play was the stage. The stage is next level on the iBasso in comparison to the EPZ. Tonality, timbre, sound also more natural on the iBasso. The resolution and the details in comparison, there is no comparison. There is that much of a high next level. Now, versus this little ONIX Alpha. When I did my review, I tried it with both of my Samsung phones and never thought to think about compatibility. But apparently it's a huge issue with this little thing, and I can see why. It actually works off of my phones and sometimes works off of my iBasso, but it won't work off the ONIX DAP. It won't work off of half of my gear for now. So keep that in mind. These two sound completely different in these little dongles. Also, two gain levels. Great companion app. It is literally twice as big and heavy as the iBasso. It has a fantastic fit and finish. It also comes with this baller leather case included as well. It has a gorgeous RGB status light that I absolutely love. It has also fantastic stage width, height, depth, and 3D. And I would say that it's actually better than the iBasso DC07 in comparison. Sound-wise, the DC07 Pro loses the warm kind of analog sounding nature of the ONIX. It doesn't sound like it has any coloration, especially in the mids. The mids do play cleaner with the iBasso over the... So they do have a different sound signature quite a lit. I think they complement each other more than anything else. The DC07 instrumental does sound more resolving, cleaner. It does sound more resolving. Stage is wide, but not as open. And that's what I noticed. Not as open, not as 3D in the stage as the ONIX. The DC07 sounds, in comparison, really less uncolored. Cleaner. I think the DC07 would be great as a more revealing source over the two. The Alpha is the smoother and the more analog source between the two. Is it worth double? Well, if you're looking for a more resolving pure source, the big answer to that is an absolute yes. Do I prefer the more analog vocals, bass, and stage of the Alpha? On some gear, yes. And I prefer the more resolving nature of the DC07 Pro on other gear. So it's really about synergy and what you're looking for in your gear. And if you're a dongle fan, having these two in your arsenal, you're two and done, I would say. This is not going to be fantastic for all gear, and neither is this, but the two together, I think you're ahead of the game. So one thing I'd like to talk about is in my testing, just to give you an idea how much power this little dongle has. These are my Hi-Fiman 400i's that I've modified. I can't get past 85 on low gain, and that's how much dynamics this little DC07 Pro has, how much headroom. And that's as high as I can get for volume in my comfort zone. So I didn't need to switch it to medium or high in order to get to my happy place. Let's talk about another one. In an IEM, I was listening to my full gamut of IEM'S to get my sound impressions for this little dongle. These are another one I'm testing. These are Binary Acoustics Dyna Quattro. There's no specs on what the sensitivity is or the impedance, but I will tell you they're hard as hell to drive, and they scale up immensely well with power. In fact, they sound terrible with low power. you throw them on some power, man, oh man, do they sing. And they are one of the hardest IEM'S other than the fat frequencies that I've tried in order to drive. In fact, on some of my DAPs, even I was listening to it on the Cayenne N3 Ultra on high gain, 600 milliwatts. It was almost maxed out, where I didn't need to even go that far with this little dongle. So it was kind of mind-blowing for me that this little thing has that high of driving power. So even though this one on paper sounds like it has more juice, this little dongle was driving it to a very, very cool level, which was very loud. So I wanted to share that with you. So overall, I'm going to say, yeah, this is not a cheap little dongle. It looks light. It looks small. But it is full featured and incredibly clean. And if it can beat out, in my opinion, a $550 DAP, that's pretty damn impressive. Whatever special mojo voodoo shit that went into this little dongle. There you go.